What do you call a reindeer that can't fly? Grounded. How do Santa's reindeer stay in shape? They go to the gymnasium. What did the reindeer say when Santa asked them to fly faster? Rudolph, that's too much pressure. Why did Rudolph fly around the world so fast? He was trying to beat Santa's deadline. How does Santa's sleigh stay afloat in the air? It uses magic dust just like a fairy tale.
Those are the worst, like the weirdest bad jokes. They're not even dad jokes. They don't even make sense. I think they're like AI jokes or something. Anyway, welcome to a reindeer-themed Ego and Vice, episode 118.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.
Born and raised in South Bay, lower class punk ass, I was Northwood grade. I had it made. Spent my nights drinking with my mates. Just a short bus ride up to PA. Red River Red. Then I hit the wall and I knew I had to bounce. They still say that 19 years ago, and I got the hell out. From time to time you may see me hanging around. Now I feel like a stranger in this town. Crocs and rolls is where I learned to play. Westwood Tavern's where I learned to walk away.
Hey, this is Mike. This is Ego and Vice. This is episode 118. Why reindeer, you ask? I can hear you asking it. Well, it is getting a little close to the holiday season. And I don't know. I've decided to embrace this year. I've decided to embrace Christmas, embrace the holidays, embrace the season, if you will. And I felt like doing something kind of Santa-related, reindeer-related. Also, on the podcast, there might be some sort of tie-in with a reindeer for like one split second. Does it deserve the whole intro? I don't know. But it's only show business, kids. So I gotta have something there. You know what I mean? Anyway, on the podcast today, I have a local artist, and her name is Leeny Jones. She's in a bunch of projects, bands. She's a songwriter. We had a great conversation. Really nice person. Very talented. And I'm glad I got a chance to talk to her. Before we get to the conversation, I'm going to play a song from Leeny Jones. And it's called Rotten Potatoes. Yep. Only on Ego and Vice can we go from reindeer to rotten potatoes, all within the first 45 seconds. Anyway, enjoy the song. This is Ego and Vice, episode 118. Put your hands together. This is Leeny Jones.
The knives are dull in my kitchen drawer. Potatoes as I look around at this house of stone, I'm sure of this feeling deep in my bones, and I'm certain that unlike many other men, this one will never hurt a woman again.
Hey, welcome back. This is Ego and Vice. This is episode 118. And as promised in the intro, I have a guest in Southwood Studio, and it is Leeny Jones.
Hi. Thanks
How's it
for
going?
having me.
Oh, no, it's no problem. I'm glad you came. I'm glad you made it.
Thanks. Yeah, I came
Yeah.
over from Gatineau, so it was a bit of a drive, but it's not so bad.
Okay. How's life in Gatineau these days?
It's good. It's quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I live in Point Gatineau, so it's a little bit more of a residential area,
Oh,
but it's not very far from Hull or downtown Ottawa. So if I want to go out and see music or like do things, it's just, a hop, skip, and a jump.
I used to live in, oh man, this must be 20 years ago maybe. I used to live in Hull.
In Hull, yeah.
I lived right over the bridge on Saint Etienne.
Okay, yeah.
It was in kind of a rougher end of town or whatever, but I remember I didn't have a car at that time, so I used to walk over that or bike over that bridge a lot, and I would get up to the Rideau Center, and I'd have to get on like the OC Transpo, or I would take like the Quebec bus, like the blue buses, and I never knew where I was going.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny that there's two separate bus systems because it is rather confusing for people. Like whenever you are trying to get to a certain neighborhood, you have to combine the two, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I guess
yeah.
I guess that Transit Quebec and OC Transpo, I guess it's the same as it's probably never changed. I used to
No.
get to the Rideau Center from coming home from work, and I would just to avoid the bus, I would walk home over the bridge. But I'd usually stop in like the market at like Patty's Pub or something like that.
Right.
And I would sit there, and back in the day before you could like write in your notes on your phone, I had this little notepad, like a little book, and I would just write all these thoughts. Oh, these deep, which I thought were like deep, profound lyrics. But I still find them, and I find those books sometimes in the house, and I open them up and I read them, and it's like a head smacker. Like, oh my god,
That's
lost
definitely
little boy.
That's definitely how I feel when I open up like old journals of just like songs that I've half written, and then I'm like, I'm not actually going to turn this into a song, but occasionally you find something that you're like, I was onto something there.
It's true. That's great. And I think anyone who writes songs, I never call myself a songwriter. I'm someone who writes songs. I think anyone who writes songs or you said you were a journalist, or you went to school
Well, I
for
went to
journalism.
school for journalism.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. You have those credentials somewhere, however they're placed. Anyone who does any sort of writing or has any type of creativity, I think they have those, just that mountain of pads and books. And, I'll swing by like the dollar store every month or something, and I'll buy the 3-ring binders just to have some fresh ones and stuff. So, and it's true, like you said, though, sometimes you open it up and all the head smacker ones are like, oh God, but you do find, this is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
That has happened to me a couple times where I'm like, okay, I'm going to finish this.
Mm-hmm.
But more often than not,
Yeah.
I just leave it lie
Yeah.
the way that it was,
Yeah, that's fair. Have you moved a lot? Do you move those books? Have they traveled with you for your life, your adult life, or?
I haven't really moved very much. Like I think I've lived in 3 different places since I've moved to like the capital area, capital region. But I've always been on the Gatineau side, and I've always been in a very like kind of in the same neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I moved here for school, and from about like an hour and a half away. I grew up in the Ottawa Valley, but on the Quebec side in the Pontiac region.
Mm.
And when I moved in initially I moved in with my brother, and then I got a house that I stayed in for about 9 years, on the same street that I'm living in now, actually.
Oh, there you go.
And we were not really rent evicted. We were just like evicted because the landlord's sister was moving in.
You were politely forced to leave.
Pretty much, yeah. And we ended up finding an apartment just 8 houses down the road, so it was
Oh,
a fairly
well, there you go.
quick move. All my
Gotcha.
notebooks would have stayed with me in that time, I think.
Absolutely. And speaking of bus routes, you didn't even have to change it. See, it's all
No,
it's all
it's always been the same.
It's all come full circle.
Yeah.
What are your origins when it comes to actually writing music or playing music? Was that when you got to Ottawa, or you always done that throughout your life?
I've always played music. My family is very musical in general, and the Ottawa Valley is a very musical place as well. I don't know if you spent much time around like Pembroke area.
Well, funny thing is, right before we started, I told you I'm going up to the studio tomorrow.
Right.
I have been going to a studio in Pembroke
Oh,
for the last 20 years. It's called
with Jordan Zadarowski.
Yeah, it was
Okay,
Skylar Park. Me and Jordan, we go back like 20
Sweet.
years. He's one of my really good friends.
Cool. That's very cool.
Yeah,
That's a
so-
nice little connection.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like as you know, because you've been to Pembroke and you have some people that are from there. Like it's a very musically oriented place. So from a young age, most of the kids in my hometown of Chapeau, Quebec, took music lessons from this one lady. Her name was Maureen. Well, her name is Maureen. She's still around.
Go Maureen.
Yeah, she was a music teacher in town, and I think my parents put me in when I was 6. And I have 4 older siblings who were all involved in music as well. So kind of played music my whole life, but I never really wrote a lot growing up until I moved to Ottawa. Gatineau. I started playing with some friends and being a little bit more involved in the writing aspect, but I have played in a lot of bands throughout my life, a lot of cover bands and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, you got to get started, right? And I think the very first band I was in when I was young, all we played was covers. It was like, write songs. How do you do that, right? You kind of evolve as you go. And yeah, Pembroke. A lot of. Do you know Doug Hempstead, area resident?
Yeah.
He's from Pembroke.
Yep.
And he's like a musical tour de force.
For sure.
He releases like a record every 2 weeks. And he sits down in his basement and he just does it all himself. And that's like Jordan and Jordan Zadarowski out of Pembroke too, with Blinker the Star. I just watched a video on Instagram and he's releasing another one. Amazing how these guys do that. So yes, so if you absorbed any of that energy from the fine town of Pembroke, then yeah, I guess you were set at an early age. When you started playing in bands, did you always just sing, or did you?
Yeah, I was more of like a singer as a kid. Whenever I was taking music lessons, I was taking singing lessons and piano. And my brother was teaching guitar, but guitar, that was his thing. So I was like, oh, I need to find my instrument, because I didn't feel like I was a pianist, you know. I definitely have always been a singer, but so I eventually started talking to 2 of my friends that were also taking music lessons, and we decided to start a band. I was 14, they were 12, and we wanted to play like punk and rock and roll. So we were just gonna have me as the singer initially, and then we needed a bass player because my one friend played the drums and the other one played the guitar. So I picked up the bass, and I was like, that is my instrument.
Nothing wrong with the bass. Bass is amazing. I wish I took up bass instead of guitar. I think my life would have been less stressful. But anyway.
I mean, when you play the bass, you're often for hire a lot of the time, so it does make you rather busy. 'Cause bass players are sometimes like, you know,
hard to find,
especially if you're in like a small town.
Yeah,
you know?
that's fair. Lots of guitar players. I'm sure lots of singers.
Yeah.
Drummers, bass players. Hard to find. Hard to find one that isn't little. Anyway. I always have a joke. Bass players are weirdos, but that's fine. It's okay to be a weirdo.
All musicians are weirdos.
That's true. You gotta have something wrong with you if you want to play music. I tell you, for a living, but or try to. No, but so bass, yeah, that's cool. And punk rock, I find or pop rock, I guess, even when you're younger. It's just very accessible music too. It's like you can listen to like Metallica, but you're like, where do I even, how do I, but you listen to like the Ramones or the Go-Go's or something like that, and you're like, yeah, I think I could probably figure that out, right? And most musicians I find, maybe I'm wrong, but from my experience, start with like punk and stuff, and then they evolve and they find their footing, and me, I just stayed playing bad punk rock my whole life, my whole career. 30 years ago, I picked up my guitar and said, I'm going to play a Ramon song, and I've never progressed. But I'm happy, and I'm good, and I'm comfortable in my own skin. So,
I mean, especially when you start a band as an angsty teenager, I think like it was rather appealing to play heavier stuff. And also, like, I grew up in a household where we listened to a lot of like country music, and the music that we were playing in music lessons was a lot of country and classic rock, which I enjoy. I like all types of music, really. And but to me, as like an angsty 14-year-old who wanted to do something a little bit different than my siblings, I was like, I'm gonna be in a rock and roll band.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're like mad at everything when you're a kid, right? Or you think you are.
Oh yeah.
So it's and the energy is there, and it's just like, I don't know. It's like if you're gonna start a band, that's like the perfect vehicle. So you can just just yell and
it's a great outlet.
Write about not even write, but just sing the words of that song you heard that made you feel better,
and just play absurdly loud.
Yeah,
like, I definitely did most of the like detrimental ear damage to myself. Like when I was like 14, 15, I feel like in those days of us like first starting to play music, that's when things were just absurdly loud for no good reason.
because the loud masked the lack of skill, maybe. So when it was loud and fast, it was just like, okay, I think we're all right. I think we're doing something right here. Yeah, that's fair. And again, that's still my style. Just turn it up. Don't listen to what I'm playing. No, I'm just kidding. So as you evolved, I guess, from the punk rock, what came next? Music, with your music career.
Yeah, I mean, that band that I started with my two buddies, like initially we wanted to mostly play punk, and I remember I think the first cover we learned was House of the Rising Sun, but we sped it up like a bunch and just, went really hard. And as I mentioned before, like recording wasn't necessarily a priority with that band, and writing, like we kind of tried to dabble with it, but we really just wanted to play shows. So that band kind of evolved into more of like a band for hire at different bars and weddings, etc.
Oh yeah.
And my brother and my sister actually joined, and one of my cousins at one point.
It was like the Partridge Family.
It kind of turned into a bit of a family unit thing.
Did you have like a bus?
We didn't have a bus, no.
Okay.
We mostly just like borrowed our parents' vehicles to get around to gigs.
You should have bought like a little bus. That would have been
They
awesome.
would have been great. I kind of wish we would have had like a little like van or a bus, like a mini bus for the whole crew,
Yeah. Be like Green Day when they started. They used to drive around. You know what a bookmobile is? It was like one of those little short buses that would go around to the neighborhoods, but it would be a little library, and it was called the bookmobile.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's what Green Day used to tour in, an old bookmobile. Anyway, sorry.
I wish bookmobiles were still a thing.
Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that a great idea, right?
But I guess you could just go to the library. But anyway.
Or you can just open your phone.
Yeah.
The internet has ruined the world. Anyway, please.
It's ruined my brain for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway. But yeah, no, I played with that band for years, just doing different cover gigs, and we did write a little bit, but recording was never a priority. I kind of regret that, to be honest, because I think some of the songs that we had written as a group were pretty good.
Do you still remember any of them, if you needed to? Like if you...
Yeah, I tried to play this one song that we had written called Sabrina Sunshine one time, and I kind of remember the lyrics and the melody, but I could not for the life of me remember what the chord progression was. But I'm sure if I got together with my old bandmates, we would probably be able to figure it out.
I think that's really neat too, because when you're younger and you're in a band, though, it's just like it's not as easy as it is today, right? Like, you might know somebody who can record something like this. Like, if you had a band, it'd be like, oh, just if you want to. But I remember when I was younger too. It's like we used to get the ghetto, like the boom box,
Yeah.
and put the cassette in and press record, and you record through that tiny little. So I have tons. I still do. I have tons of cassettes with like my first bands.
That's awesome.
And it sounds absolute like shit, but at least I have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's nice to have to listen to. I wish that I had any of those, like even just like makeshift recordings that we did. I'm not sure if my bandmate Liam had kept any of that. Like I have no clue. But
yeah, it's definitely like a time capsule though, eh? Because you forget you have them, and then you're cleaning out that room or the boxes that you moved that you didn't open from the last move, and there they are. And I should really take better care of them, just because it's part of my history. But you'll put them in, and next thing you know, you're sitting on the floor, and it's 3 hours later, and you're surrounded by a pile of tapes and that. It's all bad, but it's good.
I mean, it's memories.
It's good too, right? Yeah, I've probably have lost as many as I still have, but yeah.
But yeah, after that, like when I moved here for school, like I went to Cégep in Gatineau, and then I went to Carleton University. I started playing with some people that I had met actually in the valley at a music festival that we were playing at. It was called Sabstock.
Sabstock.
Yeah. So there was a local, I would call him a rock star. His name was Peter Saburai. He was like a blues musician, and he had Sab in the family band, and he played around a lot in the 80s, like across Canada with some bigger names. And he, I guess, like at some point in his career got derailed, like the success of the band because of some drug bust or something at one time when they were on tour. I don't know the full story. I've heard a million different versions of this story.
Sometimes bad press is bad press.
But yeah, he put on like a local music festival for young musicians and for
That's
just
cool.
like bigger bands as well. So the band that I was in played every year. He was judging a battle of the bands that we were playing at one time, and he asked us to play that festival. And
Did you win?
it wasn't really a winning battle of the bands. It was
Is that so? No.
I would say no, but it was our music teacher would put on a recital,
Okay.
but she would call it a battle of the bands because some of the kids would just get put together as a group to play a song. So you'd have like 7 8-year-olds playing acoustic guitars singing Elvis Presley,
Sounds
and
Sounds
they
soo-
were a
sounds
band,
soothing.
you know. It was great. And we actually played last because we were of the older batch of students, and we played the House of the Rising Sun
Really
really
fast?
fast punk cover. We also did a Die Mannequin cover. I don't know
Nice.
if you
Yeah.
And the parents were not pleased
No.
with us. It was
the crowd
so
went
loud.
and the crowd went wild.
The crowd was like pretty indifferent to our performance. I
No.
think it was probably just really loud and obnoxious. But
Yeah. Oh,
Peter
well.
Saburai, who was the judge, was like, "These kids are hilarious and cool, so I'm gonna introduce myself and try to be a mentor for them."
Oh,
So,
really? Oh, that's cool.
yeah, it was great, and he got us to play his local festival, Sabstock, and I actually met 2 of my friends who I started Sparklesaurus, a band that I played with in Ottawa for a long time.
Okay. Yeah.
With I met them at Sabstock.
At Sabstock. Ah,
Yeah.
cool.
So when we were playing there, they approached me because they had seen our set in the evening and were like, "Hey, like we need a bass player in our band. We're moving to Ottawa for university." And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to Carleton, so let's jam."
It's all coming together.
Yeah. And so whenever I moved here for school, like I had people to jam with right away, basically. which
That's
was
cool,
awesome.
though. I've said this before on the podcast too. Is I love origin stories. I just think it's really neat, right? It's neat how the universe just kind of like falls into place sometimes, and
For sure.
I don't know. I think it's cool.
I think it was definitely destiny that I met that we were all playing the same day.
Yeah.
And those are like my best friends, you know?
It's hard not to think that there was not some kind of weird interwoven, intergalactic, cosmic kind of thing that happened, right?
It might have even just been the work of Sab, who was like, I am going to hire this crew from Barry's Bay and then this crew from Pembroke, and I think they should meet.
Sab had a vision.
I think he did, because he sadly passed away.
Oh, I was going to ask. Yeah.
He actually talked to me at one point, because like near the end of his life, he came to a show that we had done on Elgin Street. Well, I'm totally forgetting the name of this bar at one point. What it is? It's not open anymore.
Elbow Room?
No, it was like upstairs.
Mm.
Is it called like Maxwell's or something?
Yeah.
Maxwell's.
Yeah, there's a Maxwell's.
Okay.
There
is that
was a
still
Maxwell's.
open? No,
I don't know.
think so.
I don't know.
But anyway, I put on a show there with Felicity DeCarl, who was in Sparklesaurus with me, and Sab came to that show to see us because he really wanted to get out of the hospital and come see some music. And he told me that night, like, oh, I'm so glad that you and Felicity did link up and eventually play music together, because I knew whenever I had met you separately that you would be really good to
Interesting.
be,
Isn't that
friends.
cool? Yeah, it was a master
So
plan.
maybe it was, yeah.
Wow. Well, there you go. There you go. Sparklesaurus. Let's talk about that. Was that next in line, or?
That was definitely like the first band that I started playing with when I came to the city.
All
I
right.
still played music like back home with my friends and with my family. I lived with my brother at the time, so we would sometimes go out to open mics and play and stuff. But Sparklesaurus was the band that we had started whenever we were in university, and
What kind of band was that?
we always described it as like dream pop.
What era? What actual what years are these? Like, I've been in Ottawa for a long time, and I've seen a lot of bands, but I've missed a lot of bands too, right? And I always get kind of like, maybe I did, and maybe I didn't. But do you remember the years? Oh, I'm sure you do.
Well, I think we started actually gigging and stuff in 2015, I would say, or 2016, around that time. But we were playing music together, not necessarily under the Sparklesaurus name, from the get-go. Like, we were kind of just playing Felicity's songs under the name Fliss for a little bit, and then the drummer that we had played with had, other priorities, and she went off and did her thing, and then we were like, okay, well, we should turn this into an actual band. And we played together, from 2015 to we disbanded in 2019.
Were you still playing bass in that band?
Yeah, I was playing bass and doing backup vocals.
Okay. What happened?
Our lead singer just kind of in 2019, moved away for a little bit. She was in Edmonton. She moved around to Gaspésie for a bit. So it just didn't really make sense for us to keep the band going and be long distance to that extent.
Sometimes it's unavoidable, and you don't sometimes even too you don't want to if someone has to leave the band, sometimes it's not worth replacing because it's not the same band sometimes, right? Especially a singer, she was the lead singer.
She was the lead singer.
Oh, that's tough.
And main songwriter. So it didn't we couldn't have done it without her.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been the same band.
That's a good call. Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so that fizzled out in 2019, and then the pandemic happened.
So you, like everyone else, we stopped for a while.
Yeah.
And what have you been doing lately? I tried to look up some stuff. I tried to do my research because I'm a serious podcaster. No, I don't know. I do see that your stuff now is more kind of singer-songwriter based, I'd imagine, right? Okay. I did see that you had some releases out, starting with, first of all, why don't you like reindeer?
It's not that I don't like reindeer. I think the song you're referring to,
it's Xmas Lights.
Xmas Lights, yeah. I was just feeling very angry and sad in general about the holidays because I was stuck. Everyone, all my family and my siblings and stuff live near each other in a small town, So they were still able to do the Christmas thing.
I see.
But because I'm the sibling that lives in the city, we had to do the Zoom Christmas,
Right. Well,
which is no fun. So I think I was just angry at Christmas in general. I have nothing against reindeer.
okay. I watched the video and I kind of picked up on the tongue in cheek of it all,
Yeah.
where it's just like you're very grumpy looking. Christmas lights make me very happy. And my other question about that song was November. How are you getting through?
So far pretty okay actually. Trying to, make the most of it,
Oh,
trying to
good.
get out of the house, which is good.
Oh,
which
good.
is better than previous years. Like especially when the time change happens and it's just dark.
The worst, right?
Um
I thought they were supposed to get rid of that. I thought there was like a vote or something. I don't know.
Apparently, I was talking to someone about this the other day. We are waiting on New York. Like as soon as New York,
Of course.
is like we don't do daylight savings time anymore, then our time zone will most likely follow suit.
Fair enough. I always thought it was for like the farmers. I thought it was for like the farming people. Maybe I'm completely wrong.
I don't know. I'm
That's
not sure.
That's why it was originally invented.
I'm sure the origin of it is
Yeah.
different.
Who knows? That's a whole other podcast.
Christmas lights make me so fucking happy. The way they shimmer and sparkle in the night. Santa's sleigh and his stupid little reindeer really cheered me up this year. November is a hell of a month to get through. And I know that I couldn't have done it without you. And when I'm feeling so sad and know so low, I just go outside and bask in your glow. 'Cause Christmas lights make me so fucking happy. The way they shimmer and sparkle in the night. Santa's sleigh and his stupid little reindeer really cheered me up this year.
After Xmas Lights, there was 1922, 2022, Dear Robert,
Yep.
Rotten Potatoes, which is a fun title. And your most recent release is a single called Burnout.
Yeah.
These songs, now that you're, I guess we can say singer-songwriter in that kind of genre, are you just sitting at home writing a ton of songs? Xmas Lights obviously was written during the pandemic, as you explained.
Yeah.
Was there a whole bunch of songs that came out of that period?
Yeah, yes and no. I obviously having been stuck in the house, I played a lot more guitar. I really wanted to get better at writing on guitar because previously any songs that I had written, I would either write on the ukulele or just like write a bass riff and then come up with a melody from there. So I tried to play a lot more acoustic guitar during that time, and a lot of the songs that I ended up writing started to be a little bit more like singer-songwritery, a little bit of country twang, which comes from my roots, the area that I grew up in. It's the twang was going to come out at some point. So yeah, I really did write. I wrote quite a few songs during that time, but I think I'm writing a lot more songs now than I ever have. Mostly because I'm trying to do it as an exercise.
Okay.
Because previously, I don't know, I've only ever really written whenever I've felt things super deeply. Xmas Lights, I was just feeling
You had
angst.
you had something to say.
And like Dear Robert, for example, like that I had written for a family member who passed away tragically in 2021, and I was just feeling so many different things like so deeply, and writing a song about it is an outlet for me.
Cathartic.
Yes, 100%.
Yes. I understand that.
And that's kind of like the only time I ever wrote before. And I felt like maybe that was the way that it had to be for me as a songwriter, that I could only get inspired whenever I would feel something like so much that I couldn't put it into anything else but a song.
Mm-hmm.
But lately, like, because it is like something you can practice and get a little bit better at, lately I've been trying to just write for the sake of writing. And I've written a lot of songs that I really, really like just from like a prompt that someone has given me. Lately I've been doing a songwriting challenge with my friend Felicity and another friend of mine, Tina. And we have a list of prompts, and then you're kind of in a box and you have to work with that.
Yeah.
And it's been a really fun exercise.
Yeah, that's I find songwriting is one of the hardest things to do. Like sometimes like you had mentioned, you had something to say and they just kind of came out, but now you're more of workshopping stuff. I can't do that. I can't sit down and say I'm going to write a song today. It won't happen. It just won't happen. Maybe something will come out of it, like a little riff or maybe a little hook or a little kind of little melody, but I don't know. For me, it's like you said, it has to be something that just kind of like it has to happen almost by accident.
Yeah, I mean, some songs I think happen that way pretty naturally for me as well. And I mean, everyone's different and everyone's process is different. But yeah, no, like I think like I really wanted to get to a point of like writing a lot more songs, and even if it's not good, you know, just like have the prompt,
like you said, practice too.
Write it out, just see what happens. And sometimes I've written songs through that process that I'm like, I don't like this. I'm not going to play this live, or I'll take it and dissect it,
cut it up, and use parts and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's definitely. I'm familiar with that. Is it all on guitar? Do you still play piano?
Occasionally I'll play piano depending on the song.
Can you write
not
on the piano?
Well,
Yeah.
I think I'm really out of practice on the piano. I have written songs in the past on piano, but very simple, like chords, mostly chord progressions, just because like, you know, you can do some weirder chords that I have no idea how to do on the guitar.
Yeah.
But I haven't been writing too much on the piano lately, but I think that's a good challenge to set for myself.
Piano's my favorite instrument, and I've said this before. I would give up all I know on guitar to know as much on piano, because I did take lessons when I was younger, but I quit, and I regret that so much. And I actually went to Spaceman Music on their like yard sale.
Right.
And I bought this like Casio keyboard for like $40. It's this big dusty piece of shit. And I sat here for a day and just kind of played on it, and then I unplugged it, put it in the back room, and I haven't touched it in like 6 months. So
I have 4 Casio keyboards just hanging around my living room. That like I don't play very often. Some of them I have never plugged in. They're just like family members have given them to me, being like, "Oh, you play music? Here's a keyboard."
Yeah, sure. And you can't let an instrument kind of like go in the garbage, right? So it's like, I guess so. Sure.
And at one point, like a house, like the house I was living in before the one I'm in now, was a little bit like Grand Central Station. Of all my friends would come and like have band practice there sometimes. Like, you know, so many people were going in and out that I ended up with some keyboards that I don't even remember who owns it.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm just going to hold on to it, and maybe at some point I'll feel inspired to like, you know, see what effects are on it and put it in a song or
that's
just
cool.
jam, you know.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I would love to put the time in. Like I find like I think about piano a lot too. And sometimes I'll be on my phone and there'll be one of those, like, you know, the algorithm where you write something about piano. How do you do this on YouTube? And then there'll be these little courses and be like, you want to learn how to play piano in like a day? And I'm like scrolling through until it asks for my money. And then I'm like, damn it. But I'm very eager. So maybe I might even like take piano lessons again someday, because I would love to write on a piano, because everything I've ever written has been on a guitar.
Right.
That guitar, which obviously people listening can't see, but I'm pointing at this old plastic round back Ovation.
Okay.
No, the Martins. Yeah, no, the old one.
Okay.
Behind it, like every
The
song.
Ovation.
Every song I've ever written, more or less, has been on that guitar, because I've had it my whole life, and I would love to. Maybe that's why I can't write songs like on, because it's the same thing. Anyway, this is not about me. This is about.
I feel the same way though. I think I would consider taking piano lessons again. I think it was like so useful as a child to take piano lessons, and being like in a musical environment and also just loving music.
Mm-hmm.
Having those fundamentals on piano like makes you understand things a lot easier, because it does cross over between instruments, obviously.
Yeah.
You know,
Can you read music? Are you?
I can, but it would take me a really long time now. I'm definitely way out of practice. And even
Right.
when I was a kid, we would sometimes go and do like the conservatory exams, and we'd have to do a sight reading exercise. I was always very slow at those. I think a lot of the time my music teacher would even call me out on it, where she would play a piece and be like, okay, I want you to play this in sight read. And I would play it, but I would mostly just be going by ear or by memory of what she had done instead of reading. And she would know and then call me out on it, being like, I know you're not reading that.
Foiled again.
But no, I wouldn't say that I'm like a sight reader now. Like I would definitely have to sit down and look at it for a while, and you know.
I can't read any music. I'm self-taught in everything I've done, but I think if I did take piano again, when I was young, I was too young to appreciate what it was. It was just something that kept me from playing in the mud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For an hour. But now I think if I took piano lessons, I think I would just appreciate what it was, and I'd probably really get into it. I think I would. I don't know.
I mean, if you
Maybe
if
I should
you feel,
try.
yeah, I think you should try that.
I think
That
I
sounds-
should try that.
Yeah.
I wonder how much it costs.
I don't know. It depends on the teacher.
Yeah, I'll look into
I'm
it.
sure there's some people like that play music in Ottawa that you've like encountered either on this podcast or just in the scene that probably teach piano lessons.
All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to commit.
Yeah.
This is my vow. This is on Ego and Vice. I'm going to take piano lessons. Or at least I'm going to inquire about piano lessons.
I might have some people you could like ask, you know.
Really, eh?
I have some
Okay.
people off the top of my head that I'm like, I bet
All
you
right,
they
well,
teach piano.
Send me some links. Send me
I
some
will.
contacts, and maybe that'll be my New Year thing. I'm
Yeah,
going to.
that's a good idea.
What did you do? I'm going to learn how to play piano.
I want to take guitar lessons in the new year. That's like something that I
Yeah.
I aspire to do, because I don't really describe myself as a guitar player. I write my songs on the guitar, but I'm pretty limited sometimes in what I'm doing, just because I haven't put the time and the effort into, getting my skills up that I can do a solo or make up a riff that doesn't sound like a bass riff whenever
Yeah.
I'm playing the guitar.
I get it. And that's good. Like I have some friends who's been like a friend in a band that I know who's been singing in a band his whole life, and he's now taking vocal lessons just to kind of, as he's getting older, he wants to prolong what he's doing.
Makes
right?
sense, yeah. Sometimes when I'm writing a song, I can like hear
Mm-hmm.
like an idea of a guitar riff in my head, and then I go to play it, and I'm like, my skill level is nowhere near where this riff needs to be.
Yeah.
So
See, that's why if you're in a band, you just get another guitar player who does that.
for sure. And I do play my own music with some friends of mine. We call the band like Leeney and the Boys whenever I'm playing with the band.
Nice.
And I do try to just describe what I'm hearing to Dave, like the lead guitar player in that.
Yeah.
And yeah, he'll do like his spin on it. And most of the time it's pretty close to what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, I kind of wish that I could also like do like some cool thing
That's fair.
while he's doing a solo or whatever else. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good New Year's resolution to try to get some guitar lessons in.
Yeah, I think you know what, realistically, I think it would benefit anybody at any stage where you are in your music career, unless you're, anyone, even if you teach guitar, that teacher probably has a teacher, right? Or someone that emulate or
For sure.
whatever. So you can always get better. I'm happy where I am. I don't need to really do it. But I'd rather put that effort into a different instrument.
That's fair. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm good with the guitar, like
Yeah.
for what I play and stuff. And I like it. I like playing simple stuff because it's stress free. I know I can pull it off on
For sure.
stage. And I'm not even so much about guitar playing. I'm more about like vocal melody and stuff like that. That's what I kind of focus on. So yeah, there's that.
That's cool. I definitely focus more on. I'm more melody driven whenever I'm writing, and vocals for sure. Harmonies, like adding harmonies, and like backup vocal lines is like my favorite part.
Yeah.
And probably because I sang backup in bands, and I've always had like people to harmonize with in projects, and it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
So that's like a large part of the songs that I write. I usually will have like, upwards of 8 vocal tracks.
Yeah, right. It's just layered. It's like, wow, that sounds really good.
Yeah, and then
because there's 8 different. Yeah, I know. It's
or
fun.
I'll show it to my partner, who's in my band as well, and like he'll be like, "That's a little extra," but I'm like, I was just having really, really a lot of fun, just layering the harmonies.
I have like I do fleshed out demos on this thing, and I completely know what you mean. Like you can see it, and it's just like they're just guitars, bass, drums, vocals. Right?
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
just like it's like you're sitting down here, and my housemate upstairs, because sometimes I'm like right up like doing this really high one and really low one and shit like that. Just anyway, it sounds awesome when it's all together, right? It's like you're in a room of people, but you can never pull it off live unless you have like a 9-piece band. But oh well.
I sometimes have like these like grandiose plans for the songs that I write for Leeney and the boys, and then I bring it to the band and I'm like, hey, like, are you willing to sing a backup line? Like, and that's not always like something that they want to do. Like the bandmates that I have, like, oh, I mean, they will, I'm sure, if I make it like within something that they're able to do, a simple enough harmony or ooh, but I'm definitely limited sometimes with like the female vocal or like things that I'm hearing where I'm like, that's definitely not in any of my bandmates registers.
Yeah. All right.
But my partner who plays drums in my band sings a lot of the harmonies in our music.
Going back just a bit, was he the xylophone player in Christmas Lights
Yeah.
or Xmas Lights? Okay.
Rob.
Tell him that was a top-notch performance walking down the street.
It was great.
That was
I know.
good.
Like
Yeah.
our friends who were filming it were cracking up all day by just like his like stone face and the just playing that, and like it was just such a funny day.
Yeah. It was
But
like
yeah.
it was like the arm. What you know what a keytar is?
Yep.
It was like the xylophone. I don't know what the equivalent would be where you just where you can wear the xylophone anyway. So it definitely sounds like you're busy. What do you have coming up or on the go?
I actually have a show coming up on the 16th of November with my newest band. It's called Sour Pussy. It's a band that I just started with my friend Tina, and it's really fun. It's kind of like an indie, kind of emo rock, kind of punk adjacent project we're trying to write.
How could it not be?
Yeah. So that's going to be fun. We're playing with Chick 182
Oh, cool.
and Sugar Bomb live on Elgin.
Do you know Wet for Days?
I've heard of them, yeah.
Okay, that's my friend Sarah Gott's band. And the bass player, Steph, for Wet for Days, is the bass player in Chick 182, the Blink cover band.
Yeah.
And I think Sour Pussy and Wet for Days is one hell of a marquee. No?
We'll book a show with Wet for Days in the future.
Okay.
But yeah, we're playing on November 16th, and then I'm opening for Lucky Ron at The Laugh
Amazing.
in December,
Okay.
which is a really fun gig because I get to play like really old honky tonk.
Have you done it before?
I did it one time before.
Oh, okay.
Super fun, really great crowd. It's just, it's a classic Ottawa thing to go to the
Yeah.
Lucky Ron show.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get to really go with the old folk and old time country, which is really fun. And then I'm putting out my EP in January, so we're doing a release show at Irene's.
That's awesome. What's the date on that one?
January 12th.
January 12th. Okay. I like your stuff. Do you have any more songs coming out? Are you recording at all?
So I just finished recording this. I mean, I've recorded the EP a little while ago, but those songs that I've been sitting on are coming out now. Like Burnout. Well, Rotten Potatoes was the first one to come out. Burnout just came out in October. And then the other two, it's a 4-song EP. So the other 2 songs will come out when the EP comes out in January. And then I have a lot of songs that I've written that I think are really more suited to like indie rock vibes, like less country oriented and like folk kind of singer-songwriter style, a little bit more like, I don't know, the guitars get a little janglier, I think. That I really want to record throughout the year next year and take the time to write the parts with the musicians that I'm working with and
Cool.
And maybe make it more of like a DIY record EP, you know? That's the next plan anyway.
I appreciate that. And I think that's fun. Definitely. And you know what? Just getting out there and playing. The Ottawa music scene is just alive right now.
Oh, it's
so just to get out and play shows, you know that you're gonna have a crowd, and you know that you're contributing, and you feel that energy in the city, and it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love seeing so many young musicians just like going so hard in Ottawa right now, because I've lived here for a while and always been involved in the music scene, and it's really like heartwarming to see it be so lively.
For me too. Seen many different cycles of Ottawa music, and it's pretty crazy. It's pretty good. Very good. All right, well, I wish you nothing but luck and all that, but the time has come. How do you feel about playing my game, 13 Questions?
Let's do it. I'm super down.
All right, this is 13 Questions with Leeny Jones.
Time for 13 questions with the band. Yes, this segment's back again. It's called 13 questions, but I only asked 6, maybe 5.
All right, here we go. First question. What was the first record, CD, or tape that you purchased with your own money?
Ooh. I bought American Idiot, the Green Day CD, with an HMV gift card that I got from my uncle. And my parents opened up the booklet and read the lyrics of Jesus of Suburbia and took it away.
Oh.
But it ended up being given to my brother, who then gave it back to me. In secret. So thanks, Andrew.
Recycled. There you go. What was the first concert you ever saw?
I think David Wilcox.
Good Canadian.
Oh yeah, I love David Wilcox, and my dad's a huge David Wilcox fan, so makes sense. But I don't know, I don't know if that was my first concert, but that's like, I was pretty young, and I remember like going to the concert, and being like, whoa. But even though it was at like the Pembroke Waterfront, it wasn't huge.
Yeah. He's like right up there with the Mitch. You know the Mitch?
Yeah.
Kim Mitchell?
For sure.
Wilcox, the Mitch. That's a star-spangled bill right there.
I'm sure that Kim Mitchell was playing on the same festival bill.
Well, you hit the Carp Fair the right time of year, you might see the Mitch. You just might. Okay. Okay. If your band, Sourpussy, or Leeney and the Boys, could open for any band, who would it be?
Ooh. For Leeney, I would love to be able to open for Daniel Romano.
Okay.
And The Outfit. They are so good. You should check them out.
I should check them out.
Their live albums.
As she reads my expression of, huh?
No, you should 100% check out Daniel Romano and The Outfit.
Okay.
Very cool group. Monster musicians.
Really?
Just really, really,
Where are they from?
Really good. They're Canadian. I believe the Romano brothers are from Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
Even though you're...
I just can't. All right. Anyway. Let's see. What is your desert island record if you only had one record? So you were stuck on an island for 10 years and you only had one record.
Oh, my goodness. That's a really hard question. I don't know. I go through like obsession phases with albums. If I had to pick an album right now that I would take on a desert island with me, I'd probably take the new Always record, Blue Rev. I just listen to it on repeat. It's just so good.
Okay. This might tie into the next question. What was the last thing you listened to?
So earlier today, I was listening to Mitski, her newest album, which is really good as well.
All right. Okay, a couple more. If you had a time machine and you could go back and see any musical, like event, concert, whatever, what would it be?
That's also a super hard question. I would love to have seen like David Bowie in his like Ziggy Stardust era. That would have been very cool.
Yeah, right?
So, yeah.
Yeah, that would be like going to see like a science fiction movie.
I feel like that would just be like quirky and like dorky enough that I would have been like, this is just blowing my mind, you know?
You'd probably, if you went, well, anyway, I'd probably be on a lot of drugs if I went and saw that. I think that's part of the effect of it, right?
That's part of it. It's a whole experience.
I think I'd voluntarily do some drugs for that show. I can't be certain, but I might.
It's quite spacey, so like you would want to feel like you're on the same plane as everyone else.
That's right. Or you want to get it. I get it. Okay. All right. So let me see. Do you two more questions? Okay. Do you have a music I was there moment? Like when I don't know, when there was like a riot at Woodstock 99 type of idea. I guess that's a matter of opinion too, right?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm like trying to think off the top of my head.
Here, I'm going to rephrase that question now. Do you have your own music I was there moment? That's better. Thanks, Leeney.
I mean, I think it's pretty. Now that I'm like, I have the courage to play my own stuff in front of people, I think like the first time I did that and like was playing those songs that are very vulnerable and like not being in a band and not being the bass player or the backup singer and just being like, hey,
everyone was looking at you. No.
Yeah, that was like kind of a trip for me, but like it's always kind of just mind-boggling whenever people are like, hey, I like your music, which is great.
Yeah. I suffer from that also because I think I've discussed it before. It's called imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah, I have
where
that.
You're just at any moment you're waiting to be like exposed as the fraud. Anyway, I get it. I feel that. I feel that. I feel that
hard.
Yeah, I've felt that for 30 years. Anyway. All right, the very last question of 13 questions with Leeny Jones. If you could have a drink or a meal with any musician, alive or dead, who would it be?
I would love to have an afternoon of drinking tea with Joni Mitchell, just to pick her brain and, just enjoy her company. For sure.
Great answer. All right, that's the end of episode 118. Leeney, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. And good luck with all your future endeavors. Good luck with your bands and whatever else you got on the go.
Thank you. I guess I really don't know. I wanna reach out, I wanna call. Yeah, I do nothing at all. I wanna stand out, I wanna scream, I wanna feel the spaces in between.
without you, I keep falling through the cracks. I wanna burn out. I wanna light. I want the final word in every fight. I wanna stay here. I wanna go. I wanna feel stillness in my soul.
All right, that is the end of episode 118. I'd really like to thank Leeny Jones for being on. Great conversation, super fun energy, and really nice person. Wish her nothing but the best. If you want to get a hold of me, you can always reach me at egoandvice@gmail.com. If you want to listen to the podcast, you can just search Ego and Vice Podcast on any streaming service, or just Google it. It's all over the place. Trademark, I'm the only one. And that's it. All right, that's it for this one. I'll see you next week, and as always, I guess this has become like a weird little tagline, but I think I'll just keep doing it until I start cringing myself. Anyway, be good to yourself, and be good to those who are good to you. Okay, bye.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.
Wanna